Hey, this is Math Minutes Pro with Dr. Harrison. Today, we will talk about how to solve an equation with variables on both sides of the equal sign. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll write the equation down and we'll get started. So let's start with 42 plus 3 times x equals negative 4 times x minus 14. All right, so notice we have an x variable on both sides of the equal sign. So that's what we're talking about. Now, the name of the game in solving this equation is to manipulate this equation in such a way that the variable x is on one side of the equation. Now, it doesn't matter where the variable x is on the left side or the right side of the equal sign. It doesn't matter. And we'll make sure that these constants or these numbers are on the other side of the equation. So I'll show you what I mean once we get started. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get rid of this negative 4 times x. Now, I could get rid of the 3 times x first. It does not matter, all right? But I'm going to go ahead and do the opposite of that negative 4 times x. We're using our inverse operations, or we're going to use what is called the addition property of equality. So instead of negative 4 times x, we're going to add 4 times x here. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation, and that creates the balance. So what we're doing here is we're going to add down, okay? So when we add down a negative 4x plus positive 4x, that becomes a 0, so I'm going to cross that out. So go back to the left side, adding down 42 plus 0 is 42. So I'm going to bring down that 42 plus 7 times x, bring down the equal sign, and then bring down negative 14. 14 plus 0 is 14. Now, notice, in that first step, we now have an x variable on one side of the equation. But we need to prepare to isolate that variable. We need to get rid of the 42 and the coefficient 7 right there. So let's get rid of the constant first. So the opposite of adding 42 is to subtract 42. That's the subtraction property of equality. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other. So we're going to subtract 42 here. Draw that line. And remember, again, just like here, we're adding down. So I'm just going to write that. Eventually, you will get to a point to where you don't have to do that, but it's important to know that you're doing that. So 42 plus negative 42 is 0. We cross that out. Bring down the positive 7 times x. Bring down the equal sign. Now remember, we're adding down. So that's negative 14 plus negative 42, which is negative 56. Very good. X is almost by itself. We're solving for x. So I'm going to write this step again to make the next step explicit. So I'm just going to bring this down again, negative 56. Okay, there we go. Now, the opposite of multiplying x by 7 is to divide. So we're going to divide this side of the equation by 7. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other to balance it. We divided this side of the equation by the coefficient. 7 divided by 7 is 1. X is equal to negative 56 divided by 7. That's right. Negative divided by positive is a negative. So that's negative 8. This is our final answer. Okay? So we successfully solved this equation where we had a variable on both sides of this equation. We started by deciding that we wanted to get rid of this variable on the right side. right? So we added 4 times x to both sides. We added down, and then we decided that we wanted to get rid of the 42, the constant first, and then 7 second. So we did the opposite of adding 42. We subtracted 42 from both sides of the equation. Then we ended up with 7 times x equals negative 56. We divided both sides of the equation by the coefficient 7, and then we have x equals negative 8. So thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out my Patreon page in my video description below. On my Patreon page, you can get exclusive math lessons, study tips, live Q&A, and more. See you next time.